What it do, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Scary Hours. If you're new to Scary Hours, thank you very much for being here. Where we talk about everything and anything. We've been doing this for quite a while. And if you are returning, guys, like we always say, really appreciate it. Thank you for the love, the support. Don't forget to keep liking, sharing, subscribing to our YouTube channel. That was almost a tongue twister. YouTube. There we go. And on Spotify, you can comment on a specific episode. So this same one, please do drop in your comments. I would really appreciate it. We also have been dropping these audio versions on YouTube as well, if that's just something that you prefer. Also, just a different platform to just have all these episodes out as well, just in case you're not really into Spotify or Apple Podcast or any of these other streaming platforms. But if YouTube is your thing, not to worry. If you do subscribe, you hit that bell, you will get a notification every time we drop an episode. So it's not just our videos, but it is also our audio episodes as well that we are dropping weekly. Now, this episode itself is super interesting because it actually just came from me thinking about my childhood. And I'll be honest with you guys, I just miss being bad at things. When I was younger, a lot younger, it's a lot of things that I did. I got into a lot of different sports, tennis, I got into taekwondo, I got into basketball, football, and I learned a lot, even how to like, this might be weird, but like even how to like skip rocks, throw stones, like stuff like that. And when I think back to those days, I learned so quickly, right? Like I didn't care about looking some type of way. I didn't care about looking silly or being judged. And plus I think also like when you're a kid, the support system around you is just so much better. It's just so much more encouraging as well. It's just like, now okay, cool, you failed this time, but let's keep trying, which I wish we did now, to be honest. But anyways, that we'll get into a bit later. But yeah, I just miss that. I miss how we could learn so quickly and not be ashamed, not be afraid to look silly. And I do hope that as we become parents, we also provide our kids with that kind of safety net as well. Not being judgmental, not wanting them to learn immediately, giving them just a lot of rope to just be kids, just be young. And I think that's super, super important because we had it, or at least I did. And I see how that also helped in terms of increasing my confidence in trying new things, in all this other stuff. And I guess somewhere along the way, we just started tying our competence to our identity, you know, and which is a shame. And I guess to be honest, it probably even starts in school, when you just feel ashamed because maybe you just don't understand something. So let's say, for example, in math class, you're just not good with long division or whatever, and you're trying and trying, and maybe there's this one kid or however, and they might be, I don't know, bullying you about it, telling you you're slow or whatever. And we might not even realize how damaging that could be, but it probably does start then when things do become a problem, you know? Because going to my own personal life, math was one of those subjects I just wasn't necessarily good at. But if I took the time and really maybe even found my own way of understanding it, I got certain things. But then when you're in like this whole group setting and then you find this one student who just gets it, like he just gets, or he or she just gets it, and you're just finding it slow, you start to like overthink it. You're like, ish, maybe like, not that there's something wrong with you, but like, for lack of a better term, you're like, there's something wrong with you. And that's a wrong way to look at it, right? Because that now starts to fall into everything that you do. Because now the moment you're just not good at something, all of a sudden, oh, you're bad. Oh, because you can't or you don't know how to run fast. Doesn't mean that you can't learn how to then run properly, right? Getting the right form, which then helps you increase your, I don't know, your steps and your performance and all of that. Like high jump. nobody really knows how to like high jump, if you get what I'm saying. Someone just says, okay, go and jump over this bar. You could probably do it until a certain point where you need to actually learn the technique. And no one says that you're going to learn it immediately. I also don't think that everything that you learn, everything that you're bad at the beginning means that you'll be bad at the very end, right? And just because you're good at it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this thing is there's nothing else that's for me. I don't think that's true. You might feel that way. Please do leave a comment. But I don't know, not for me. I don't feel that way. And then, of course, for us nowadays, we have social media, which just makes being a beginner feel embarrassing because everybody around is consistently like comparing themselves, right, to experts, people who've been doing this for a time, right? I mean, you probably didn't even see their first 50 videos. You've just seen them when they're doing things really well. And if you're comparing yourself to that kind of quality, you're just never going to get out of your comfort zone. You're just never going to get out of your shell, which then makes you just go back to doing what you do. And you're probably killing yourself. You're killing your future. You're killing your dreams. You really want to do this thing. And I think the other issue that we have, and I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, we just don't have mentors like that anymore. People that want to mentor, you know, because back then, I believe there were probably a lot more. It might have been a bit easier. I don't know how it is these days, if I'm being quite honest, but it just doesn't seem like it. It just seems like people might be a bit more divided, right? So, yeah. So I just feel like social media hurts us because we just don't want to grow at our own pace as well. You know, it's something that I was very self conscious about when it came to podcasting, for example, at the very beginning. You can even ask Wengo and my mom and whatever, like me dropping that first episode. I was like, guys, it's not where it needs to be. I still don't even feel like these episodes are where it needs to be, but I'm a lot more confident going into recording. If someone sat me down right now and gave me a mic, not the way I am right now, but if somebody just say, hey, I would love for you to be on an episode, we can talk about XYZ, I'll be a lot more comfortable to just sit down and do it than I probably was at episode 5 of this podcast or whatever, because now there's a different way of how I go about maybe structuring things and how I articulate certain points. So it's just the practice. That's really what it is, right? And most people admire confidence, but confidence usually comes after the fact, right? After you've been bad at something for a while. And we all look at people with, you definitely have someone in your mind. You're probably like, "Ah, that person is so confident. I would like to be like this person." That could be even your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, a friend. But when you look at it, you probably realize that this person has been doing this for quite a while. And that's important. That's important. You have to keep doing it. You have to not give up on that thing, right? It's important that you just cut the steps into like very small bite-sized kind of steps, if I can put it that way. Like think about the things that you do well today, right? They all started with you being terrible. If you play piano now, it started at a point where you didn't know what the E key was, what minors look like, what all these different, you know, chords were and how to play them. Now you're an expert or getting there. It all starts at some point. Another example, maybe even a more practical one, is editing your CV, your resume. Maybe you just haven't done that in a really long time, right? Maybe you're just coming out of school. You might have done a few things. You probably don't even feel like they're that relevant, because you're looking at people who are CEOs and managers and, sitting on boards and whatever. But again, it starts at some point. And because of your fear now to even edit that resume, you find yourself not even opening, you haven't looked at it in months or whatever. My advice to that particular scenario would be break that up into parts once again, right? So if you're scared to edit it and make it a whole final piece, a final resume, what you can do is Start by just opening it. Don't edit it. Don't think about what you can do and what. No, no, no. Literally just open it. Open that page, look at it, and that's that. If you want to spend 5 minutes on that page looking at it, spend 5 minutes doing that, right? But don't add no text to it whatsoever. And then that's a goal, right? You create that as a goal. You say, all right, good. And once you do that, your brain now removes that fear, right? Because you've ticked one part. And if you have to reward yourself for it, then go ahead, create a reward system. That's also very, very important when you're coming to these things, right? Like being bad at something, because you're going to be bad at it for a while. Try to create some form of reward. I'll be honest, I don't even know if I even had one for scary hours when doing it. It was maybe more of a more passion thing than anything, but I still believe that's a very important thing. Then the next time, which is even like another day, you say, okay, I'm going to add text. I'm going to add the first two bullet points or the first whatever it is. And then just always break them up into like these bite-sized tasks that don't feel overwhelming. Because the minute it's overwhelming, it's the minute that you're not going to do it. You want to be right on the edge of comfort and the unknown, right? And that's where growth is. Growth is right at the edge of it. Like you have to find it because everybody has their own version of that. And once you figure it out for yourself, then you figure out how to sort of break it up so that you keep advancing, right? You want the advancement to feel attainable, but not too easy all the time where it feels like you're not growing. But it should be like it's a reach, but it's a reach that I can get there, right? Very, very important. So, yeah. So just think about, like I said, think about the things that you're good at today, right? How did you start? Probably weren't good. And now think about the next thing that you want to do. You probably want to think about it that same way. You got to start at some point. You got to start being bad, right? Because if you don't think about this right now, think about what opportunities you might have missed, because you wanted to avoid looking inexperienced. Maybe you also skipped out on a job because you felt like you were inexperienced. To be honest, probably the majority of people that have jobs entered that role being inexperienced. Like you said you knew what you're doing or you could do it and you just learned on the job. Trust me, I've been there. I've been there where I was like, I don't really know what's going on, but fake it till you make it kind of thing. And then at the end, you realize, like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I'm a lot better at doing this than I was at the very beginning. I can now talk about this and articulate myself a lot better than before. And it builds up confidence. But the other thing to that is growth also just requires humility. And so you also have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to succeed. You have to be willing to be taught, right? Some people also just look and be like, okay, I know you're not this, but you have the mindset to get there. So let's build this, right? Oh, here, do this, do this, do that. And to be honest, at the very beginning, it will be tedious. You'll probably look at this and be like, I don't get the point. Like, why is this person making me do this, do that, do this, do that? It just doesn't make sense. But if they're somebody that's in the position that you want to be in, listen to it, right? Which is also another important thing. Get advice from the people you would want to be at, like at the level you'd want to be at, right? Like you're obviously not gonna go ask about fixing a fridge, for example, when the person is anything else, a gardener or a teacher or whatever. Like if they have no experience in that role, then what are you really asking the person about? It just doesn't make sense, right? So find that person that's doing what you would want to do, right? If you want to be a videographer, find a person that's at the level you would love to aspire to be at and be like, yeah, okay, cool. This person is amazing. Let me see if I can get one, two tips on how they got there, on what I can do next. And they'll probably help you out. People are also willing to help you out if you just ask. And again, if you are humble enough to also just, right, present yourself with your question and ask nicely, make sure you're not disturbing them, that kind of stuff. Like that's all just super important. But yeah, sometimes you just have to be willing to be the least knowledgeable person in the room. which helps you to just soak in a lot of information, like a lot of it. Take notes, always carry a book. That's usually what I try to do myself. I try to carry like this little pocket sized book around, like in my bag, a pen. Whenever I need to write something down, I'm just writing there. At home, I have these like big notepads where I'm just taking notes on certain things, on like how to do things, step one, step two. That's how I actually started when I was editing, watching these different videos on YouTube. Okay, step one, step two, oh, how to EQ, oh, how to so and so. And now I don't even need to look at it because I just know it, right? Like the back of my hand is it's so I don't even say simple, but I have a workflow now. I have a system, and later on you realize also how to use certain tools to your advantage because you know what the tool does, right? It's like um for people that know what I'm talking about, let's say you're in video editing or, images or whatever, LUTs, for example. You can always slap a LUT on an image or in a video, but if you also don't know how to tweak colors, you will never see the problem in the LUT that you just put on because it could make your image maybe a bit too blue and you just don't realize it to you. You're like, "Oh, I bought a LUT, so it'll always do things. It'll always do the right thing." That's incorrect, but yeah, that's something that you have to learn, of course. You'll probably just think like, nah, I got it. It was super simple. But yeah, you have to learn. You just have to ask questions. Don't let your ego rob you of a potential. Very, very important. Just make sure that you're always just wanting more because more is always better to a degree. To a degree. To a degree, guys. But yeah, I'm just saying this because it's like this new fire of just like wanting to continue learning, and learning is always 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 uncomfortable, but it feels good once you get things, once you understand the formula, once you understand this and that, then you're like, oh my goodness, like how did I not know how to do this? Once upon a time I was horrible. I sucked at Canva. I didn't even know how to I don't even know how to even say what I was bad at, but I just wasn't good at it, right? And it got to a point where I was like, no, I even need the pro tools because that's even going to help me with, what I need to achieve, and created some great things on it as well. And, spoken about programs like Affinity, which I'm trying to get good at as well, DaVinci Resolve. And yeah, it just takes time. It takes practice. It also just, again, takes humility. Ask questions if you need to. And there's YouTube, guys. YouTube is like your best teacher if you're like that shy person that just doesn't know how to like talk to people. Again, this also depends on what the skill is. Because I feel like some other skills you need somebody to properly teach, especially if it's about like form and whatever, something physical, you probably want someone there, right? Like you don't really want to learn boxing, taekwondo, whatever, like off of YouTube because no one is really going to correct your bad habits, right? That's also another important thing. You need someone that can help correct certain habits, teach you shortcuts to certain things. But yeah, not without making this episode too long, there's just something I wanted to talk about. I just miss that being bad at something and not being judged by myself and by others, which is very, very important. So yeah, maybe the next chapter of your life doesn't begin when you become good at something. Maybe it begins the moment you're willing to be bad at it. Food for thought. Keep that in your mind. Start that next project, start that next thing that you want to do. I know you'll be great at it. I don't doubt it. Let me know also in the comments what it is that you're willing to start, that you're willing to be bad at first before you become great, an expert, before you start making that money, those brand deals start coming through. Yeah, I would actually really love to know. And then maybe we can even have a chat about that. That would be a really, really good continuation to this point of mine. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for listening this far into the episode. Once again, this is Scary Hours. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe. Really appreciate you guys. Again, like we're in the 200s, guys. Like that has not been easy. It's been years of this work. I have loved doing this. I've loved being on this journey with you guys, with Gus. We've really, really enjoyed it. Every episode we remove is an extension of us. It's just showing what we think about, what we want to discuss, and that's why it's called Scary Hours, if anything. So yeah, once again, really appreciate you guys. Till next time, Scary Hours. Turn the cameras off, please.